Hello friends, doing a update for anyone that gives a shit. It's been a couple of months. First off, best to everyone. I want the best for all of you, that things are going well for you. If anything's going on, you can always say hi. You can always come in and say hi. Always appreciate when that happens. I've been no drinking alcohol for 5 weeks. So I want to thank Dawn for all the time she ever talked about not drinking and her experience of getting away from alcohol years back and sharing some vulnerable information that I've kept with myself. And I also want to thank Jessie, the tarot gal. She's probably not going to see this. I'm going to go ahead and say it publicly though. She also, the same thing, she shared her experiences and these are things that I remember. Some of the things that have gone good since I've gotten away from alcohol, beer and it's taken me about 5 weeks for this to happen. My eyesight is getting better and my equilibrium or my balance has gotten better. My cognitive ability is better. So some definite pluses there. And here's the issue with alcohol. It's a loop system, and it takes some time to get out of that loop system with the depression and all that stuff. And if you, such as myself, if you're similar to such as myself, I've always had mood situations and depression all the way back in my life. Born that way. So once I get away from the alcohol, it's not as if it's all going to go away. It's still all there. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So most important though is for myself and to convey to you that it is absolute poison to your life. It's poison to your relationships. And if I ever go back to drinking alcohol, which I've been away from it, and then I go back to it, then it gets on top of me. It takes time. And all those excuses that you have, that you only have this much, you only have a glass, or you only have this much, it grows, and it's a little seed, and then before you know it, you're a big, huge plant, and you're drinking quite a bit. I was drinking quite a bit. And, to be honest with you, I fell through a table because my balance was getting so bad I actually fell through a table. And I had drank quite a bit that day. So, that was a sad moment because I was laying on the ground, looking at the wall, looking at a electrical outlet, just staring at it, thinking to myself, how did I get here? So then I gotta pick up all the pieces, literally, and then figuratively too. The next couple of days, I gotta go through the what do I gotta do? What do I gotta do with myself? Life is shitty as it is. Okay, so alcohol is my escape. What am I gonna do with myself? So what I did, if this helps you, is for one, I don't have any hard alcohol left. I drank all that a good year ago. And so I was down to some beers, and I put them underneath a sink. I've got my area where I forget, so I just put them under the sink. And I said to myself, there's no more buying them. And for a good week, I I was more hell bent on staying sober. So the urges and all the itching and scratching of, yeah, I'm gonna no. So there's gonna be that with stopping cigarettes. There's gonna be that with stopping alcohol. Or any kind of drugs that you're using. You got to give it a couple of weeks. So for anyone out there that's using heroin, or they're drinking alcohol, or they just want to stop smoking cigarettes, you got to give it a couple of weeks. You got to. I remember when I stopped smoking cigarettes decades ago when I was a younger guy, that it took 7 days of wanting a cigarette extremely bad. And I'd apply this to almost any kind of substance, or even a breakup with someone. You got to go a week. You got to go a week. If you say, all right, I'm not going to text this person back, I've broken up with them, or whatever, you got to go a week. You have to. Same with anything. You got to go through the pain. You got to go through the mental anguish, the physical, the jitters, the sweats, the hell, the depression. And I'm going to get into that. Actually, I think I'll get into that right now. When you have something that makes you feel good, and you take it away by will, you're gonna, unless you're another kind of creature, you're gonna go through a low. You're gonna go through a depression effect. Emptiness. Because this thing is gone now. That's how wonderful our brains have been created to be by also loving creators. When you not having something that's been making you feel good, now you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel empty. So I recently met someone, and on a mental level, in my whole life, I don't think I've ever met anyone that has a similar personality to mine. And it's as close to my personality, or even remotely close to my personality and my behavior. So I was taking notice to this, and I was saying to myself, this is not possible. How is this happening? Because I'm turned off to relationships and love and sex and everything. I guess I somewhat despise it in a way. If you listen to some of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm not much of a people person. More so these days than I was when I was a younger guy. How many interactions can you have with people over and over and over again, knowing that people are liars, that people are pieces of shits, that they're wide to receive, they give little to, say, invest in another person, which they do not generally, and if they do, there's absolutely a manipulative situation there where they have things to take from you. Well, I wanted to share this with you because I'm away from this person now. I've taken myself away from this person. I've never met this person physically. This has all been online. She's in another country, and She's younger than I am, considerably. And I'm not really into that because she hasn't experienced really enough in life to keep up with me, basically. And so here I am, I'm with this person. We were talking to each other for about 6 weeks. And maybe you can relate to this, because don't we all want to have someone that loves us and cares about us? Perhaps there's a couple people out there that do not. I'll admit that that's one of the most important things that I can find in life is someone that I can love and someone that loves me back. And I can be who I am and they can be who they are. And if we like each other for those things, which is pretty far out because I'm a fairly weird person, then I'd understand that they'd have to be a fairly weird person too. And that's where this was getting to be kind of a match. So I'm looking past the age thing and I'm saying to myself, stranger things in life. I could be with someone that's the same exact age as I am, and they can be, I'll say, dumber than shit, or short-sighted, or unpleasant to be around, and they could be the same age as I am. So age, in a way, is not really a super awesome thing, and it's not great to be with someone that's so young, in a way. So it's half and half in a way. In a way. So I'm going back and forth with her. And she's getting closer to me, closer to me, closer to me. She's getting me affectionate towards her, which I'm not an affectionate person. I am with animals, not with people very much. Probably in my entire life, I've only actually been in a loving relationship with 2 people in my whole life. How many of you out there can say that you've been in a where you were in love with someone with 2 people your whole life? If you're maybe over 40, can you say that? I doubt it. Because most of my buddies on here are females, and I doubt you've only been in love with 2 people in your whole life. I've dated people when I was young, years ago. I haven't for many years. I've dated. I've been chatty with some people. Never gotten close to them. And they've never gotten close to me. So it kind of shows you my personality a little bit. I'm not a real close type person. I don't succumb to that. I don't succumb to feelings and all that. It's not in me to do so. I never really have been. Like in high school, I didn't have a girlfriend in high school. There was one person in high school who was somewhat of a sweetheart type gal. I'd see her at parties or I'd see her at school or whatever. That's about it. No girlfriend. I was always doing other things in life. I wasn't thinking that those were things that I needed. Still don't. So this person, they found me, they contacted me, they approached me. And that's rare. Rare, rare, rare. So to fast forward to the point where I said I'm going to get away from this person, it's because this person was shady. And if you're moody, the same as I am, then you know that there's trust issues. Trust issues is something that all human beings are going to have to some extent. With myself, I got to absolutely say to myself that there's no one that I'm going to get close to in that way. There's not one person. No one's ever given me the reason to do so. No one. Not anyone. I've only known the females that I did love to basically get to a point where they were so absolutely cruel and cold to detach from me that I don't know anything good coming from a loving relationship with a female. I've never really had that experience. And the loving relationships that I've had with those people that I have, the two people that I have had in my life, I'm not looking back on and saying to myself, "Oh, that was so special and that was so loving and all that." No. I'm thinking about how they were detached, they were they were not close, and their their behavior patterns are so similar to things that I know about anyway with females that I really only think about how they lied and lied and lied. Not not so much that they said that they loved me and that they didn't love me or any of that kind of stuff. No, actual nonstop lying. And I'm always looking for cracks when I'm getting to know someone. And here's the thing about people that lie all the time. And yeah, all humans are liars. Here's the thing about humans that constantly lie all the time. And here's the problem with that when you are engaging with or mingling with getting a companion or a partner or a lover or someone that you're going to be with. If you lie and lie and lie all the time, basically to be pretentious or to get that, maybe I'm speaking to females here. I'm saying this is for male or female. If you lie all the time, there's no way that you're going to cover all of your information. And here's where I'm always looking. I remember a lot of stuff. I also forget a lot of stuff. I remember a lot of things when I'm going back and forth with texts and pictures and things that you say, or if I'm even in a relationship with you, I remember everything. And a liar is going to forget, or they're not going to keep track of all their lies. And then I've got all this stuff accumulated in my head. And then I've noticed that a liar is going to also lie constantly about how they portray themselves. So if you're portraying yourself as a certain kind of person, and this is where integrity is not something that you can fake. If you keep lying and lying and lying, then I'm going to eventually say, hey, well, what about that? You remember when you said this or that? Or I seen your pictures on your social thing, and you said that you don't do any of that stuff, and you've got pictures of you doing it. or if you say that you are a little angel all the time, or that lying is not something that you ever can do because it's not in you to do that, or if you call them out, which is always pointless in a way, and they say, oh, you think that I'm doing that? Oh, you think that I'm doing that? And then you've got pressure, and they turn it on you. And I noticed this with one of the females that I was with, who, for the longest period, she lied about everything. And if you ask, oh, how did you know that she lied all the time? It's too obvious. and go back through everything that I'm saying about how there's cracks and cracks and cracks. And I'm going to know it because I remember. And here's where the guy that's honest, or maybe the female that's honest, it's not gonna be as advantageous to be honest in the short-sighted side of things, you know, in the narrow-minded side. You can text 5 guys. You can send out your nudies. You can do all this to get the guy's attention. You can tell 5 guys that you love them or whatever. You can lie to your girlfriend. You can tell her that you're madly in love with her when you're not. You can do all those things. And that's on the short side. And then when the reality comes into it, all you've done is you set yourself up for absolute heartache. And for a male who provides to a female, and the female who is mainly concerned with security, not so much providing for the male, because there's no need to, because that's what the male does. Now, if you've got that going around, then the female is going to use that to her advantage in her application towards getting to know people. So if you look at it real closely, a female has more temptation to engage with more than one person at one time and lie and fib and whatever, because she's scratching at the surface, a very shallow situation. How are you going to get to know? How are you going to get to know really truly what's inside of you if you're doing that? How are you going to know how sincere you are about things in life if that's your approach to getting to know people? Now, I understand the female's position. I understand their reasons for their non-exclusive beginnings towards getting to know anyone. How does that break off, though, when you think that you have found someone? How does that change? I think that that's indicative of someone's personality more than anything that they were born with. And it's my opinion that people are going to be the same person all the way through life. The only thing that changes is they get more savvy to things, and that's all there is to it. I mean, my parents are the same as they've always been. My brothers and everyone I've ever known. They're basically just the same people that I've ever known. Their behavior patterns are the same. And I'm going to be sucked in by the female. And it's too apparent that females need attention because they need to get you closer to them. Because a guy is wandering through life doing his thing, and then the female's got to do everything she can to bring in these guys to get attention. So this is the reason for the makeup. This is the reason for the fake tits. This is the reason for the plastic surgery and all the push-up bras and the pretentious, basically everything about their entire lives, their information that they put on their social medias that's 50% bullshit. This spreads them out even further. This puts them out there even further. A larger, pretentious hook to hook in guys. And you tell me, what about any of that makes me want to have anything to do with that for it to be going into the future? Because if I'm going to be nagged and pulled into the provider type scenario, then what other than am I going to be than just someone that's sucked dry? And if you haven't noticed, people throw people away so simply. I've done it. You have to, in a way. You've got to remove some people from your life when you realize that they're liars, or they have zero integrity. They have no, and maybe even integrity is a subjective word. They have no reason for me to trust them at all. Not even 50%, not even a little bit. Why am I going to trust someone that's doing that? And something that's really irritating to the heart, to my inner being, to my core, is the hiding. And this is an issue as well. The hiding and the when you get to know someone, you say, "Hey, how about this or that or this or that?" And then, well, no, I'm not really gonna divulge that, or I'm not really gonna. I'm not. Oh, they're hiding. And some things are understandable to me. That, well, first of all, if that's the information that we're wanting to know right off the bat, then it's pointing towards you're just wanting to take from me, or you're not really interested in getting to know me. You're just wanting to use me for shit for a little bit and then just toss my ass out, which I'm saying is the most abundant thing in humanity. That's why most people are going to have anything to do with you. It's just to use you for a temporary, short amount of time and then chuck your ass. And I'd say that this is less to do with the majority of males and more to do with the majority of females. And if you're going to say, oh, how about the males? Or the majority of the men, or the males that are going to do that to the females are the males that the females don't have a chance with. It's the same as you understand that males don't have a chance with a hot chick. Most females don't have a chance with the super alpha hot guy. It's just not going to happen. So then they end up pregnant by a bunch of these guys. They get thrown out the door, and then they turn around and hate all men. So take a look at the chemistry here. Take a look at the equation that we're talking about here. And I think a lot of females can take something from that. And a lot of females that are going to get to that age where absolutely no one wants anything to do with them at all. Look at all the guys that you didn't want anything to do with in the first place, that approached you hand over heart, offered you love, offered you everything, and they're not Johnny Depp. They're not fucking Fabio. So in a less pitiful way, pity way, if you understand that more than anything with myself, it's abandonment and it's trust. And it has a lot to do with my childhood, and it has a lot to do with people that I've known my entire life. And there's a couple of people that I can say that have been mentally more straightforward with their actions than I can say about anyone else that I've met in my whole life. And these are my closer people to me. And these are people that are not perfect. They have things about them. They lie. And they're still the best people that I know in my life. So I forgive. I forgive some things. And I do the same with a love relationship with someone. I'd extend the same thing. I'd extend forgiveness. I'd extend, because I know that females are going to go out and do dumb shit that a male is going to say is dumb, and to a female it's going to be smart, because she's covering the security area. She's making sure that she's She's looking all the way out there of all the potentials that she can do to secure herself, even if she's in a trance mode, the day after her period has ended or whatever. She's got to go out and do something incredibly dumb, and you got to deal with that every single month. I don't think so. That doesn't sound too good. So, perhaps to some of the females out there that are listening to this still, do you go out? I mean, this is not something that you have to answer. You don't have to answer this on here. Just to yourself. Do you do you think about these things? Or does this sound off to you in any way? Does any of this apply to you in any way? Behavior patterns, female behavior patterns, lying, trust with a male, and your standards too, the things that you need, and then that feeling of it not being enough for you in your life with the person you're with right now, or the person you're looking for, Mr. Right. What is your standards? What is it that you want? And are you a liar? Do you lie all the time and basically justify it so that way it's not a lie? Or do you full on inside of your brain say, yeah, I fucking lie all the time. I don't give a shit. And I'm going to get the most out of life because I'm doing that. I'm saying it's my perspective that on the overall and at the very end of everything, and that true love and that true friendship with anyone, what did you ever get out of constantly thinking that you got to find someone else, or you got to constantly think that that person that you're with, who's fully doing all kinds of things for you all the time, if that's what you actually are thinking, are they not good enough? Do you actually think that? Do you have a fear inside about that? Do you have a fear inside that they are going to fall back on that, or they're not going to hold that up, or they're just not good enough? Do you feel that inside, that you're the person that does all kinds of things for you, and at one point you found a match towards that, and you actually think that you could get along with this person, so you went and did the commitment things, you moved in with each other, you did things with each other, you said you loved each other, and then say some years have gone by and you're sitting there, do you say to yourself that you're in a meaningless relationship during certain periods of your period every month, or certain hormones start flaring up? Do you start to fizzle out and not remember anything, and then all of a sudden does your mind only go towards, I've got to find someone else, or I've got to fuck someone else, or I've got to do whatever? Because I'll say, from a male perspective, myself, I don't know if a female can feel good with me, because I'm absolutely turned off to all of it. It's sour to me. I mean, there's different words for that. So if a female can turn me on, she has my heart. My heart is hers, and I don't know about you. I don't know if there's anything better than that in life. Is true. I'd like to think is true love is inseparable. It's not something that's you can get away from. It's once you've found your pair in life, it's fate. You're not going to get away from that person. They'll keep coming to you, or you'll keep going to them, or if they I mean, basically, where I'm at right now with this person that I was talking to, I was getting to the point where I said to myself, "All right, I'm gonna stop talking to them, and then that's that. And if they really like me or whatever, then they'll come around, and if they're partial to it, or it's I'm one of five guys or whatever, they'll just go away." Kind of have to do that. If I'm if I'm not doing that, then I'm just saying, "Okay, keep lying to me. Keep keep lying." And there's no confiding in the liar. There's no saying, "Hey, oh, I'm thinking you're lying," and all that. You think that they're gonna say, "Oh, no, let me assure you that let me show you all these ways that I can prove to you that I'm not lying," or whatever. That's the problem with the relationships, is the first of all the indifference of the mind, even no matter how close this person is to my behavior or my personality. There's still indifference, and you don't know. That's the thing, is they can tell you that they love you, they can do this, they can do that, and you can put in a lot towards this other person. It's still not going to change. It's still not going to change that the probability of anything actually happening in that relationship or going anywhere is minute. Because as I said before, most relationships encounters are to use you temporarily. Now for females, they're going to say, "Yeah, that happens all the time with these guys that I go out with, because they're guys that you're not going to make it with anyways, because they're better looking than you." It's the same way with myself. I'm not going to make it with a lot of females because they're better looking than I am. They have more going for them, or they're better looking, or they have more dough, or you know what I'm saying? It goes both ways. So if there's any kind of contention about how I feel about females or whatever, and the you know, is a male right, is a female right, who's this, who's that? Yeah, well, that's the bottom line. Is it's the narrow-minded, it's the shallowness, it's the quick to get whatever they can, advantageous, and that makes life shit. Because I'm looking around at all these human beings that are weak to me, and I see them as in the fucking way, and it makes it more tedious to find anyone with a good heart. Now, am I saying that I'm so wonderful with such a good heart? You're not going to know that. You're not going to know that unless you get to know me. You're not going to get to know how I can tell you just to fuck off in 5 seconds if I'm not digging something that you're doing. And you might not like that. And I might take a bullet for you. And then 5 minutes later, I can tell you to fuck off. That's one thing about the moodiness. It does something for me too. If I'm in a dark place, then it's easy for me to confront. I can confront easily. I can say, "No fucking way." And then if I'm Mr. Loverboy, feeling good, then I can go with you for a while. And then you can get the wrong idea that I'm some little bitch. And then boom, I'll confront you. Or just shut off, and then I don't exist anymore. Oh, you thought you knew me? Maybe you didn't. How are you going to know unless you spend time with me? How am I going to know unless I spend time with you? You're just not going to know. So time is the factor there. Do you have the time? Do you have the time for people to jerk you around, to lie to you and be pretentious mainly? It's kind of cold that a person, we'll say 90% figuring 90% of females are going to have more than one guys lined up. It's going to be non-exclusive dating, and and obviously they're not going to be able to do that because they or to tell you that they have to lie to you about that you're the only one. Because most guys are going to say, hey, is there other guys or whatever? And of course, the female's going to lie. They have to. Because if they always are going to tell you straight up, then they don't have they don't have that advantageous avenue there to get all they can all the time. So if a female is always doing that, she's always going to be gaining. Does that sound pretty good to you? That sounds pretty good to me. She's always going to be gaining. There's one thing that she's not going to get, though. She's not going to get that ultimate love that she still wants, that she thinks she's going to get from that alpha. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Any females out there have any other female friends that are older and looking rather burned out, and there's not a chance in fucking hell that they're going to meet that alpha now? The alpha's not ever going to have anything to do with them. So I've always been open to anyone with a big heart, and I'm always looking for someone with a little bit up here. And most anything that doesn't convey the lies. And the older a male gets, the more savvy they are to the tricks. Vice versa, the females to the males, the alphas. They're the ones that are breaking your heart all the time. They're the ones that you're looking for all the time. And they're the ones that are breaking your hearts. Not the guy that was asking you out last week. Or the sweet guy that came and brought you roses. He's not the guy that's breaking your heart. It's the guy that's not bringing you the fucking roses. It's the guy that's an asshole to you. That's the guy that's breaking your heart. And you don't even have to apply a name to that guy. You can have 20 of those alphas in your life. And you don't even have to remember any of their names. It's just all guys were assholes to you. No, they weren't. All guys weren't assholes to you. So shit gets skewed. Big time. So that's some of my thoughts lately. And if you feel offended by some of these things, why are you? Why are you offended by some of these things? Is it striking some things from your past? Is it making you think about some things? So I'll keep you updated possibly on whether or not this person writes me back and says, hey. And makes me, and then I'll get a good feeling inside, thinking to myself, they're still thinking about me. I'm not an afterthought. I'm not some dickhead in the phone that they can shuffle through. That they can say good morning on, here, let me select 5 guys here. Put good morning in. Okay, send this message to all 5 of those guys. Or here's a picture of my nude body. Oh, that'll get them 5 guys. Let me send that out there. It's just a game. So without judgment on whether or not they're a piece of shit or any of that kind of stuff. If there's just needed to security in life and to gain, so that way they can have excess at the end of their lives without anyone that gives a shit about them. Or at least, unless there's just a point in their life where they're going to turn the switch on and then be a different person at that point. When they only lived that way for 20 years or whatever. So I only know how to live single. I only know how to not let people come in to my life and do that kind of shit to me. I only know how to do that. So if someone comes around, my behavior for years and years to know myself was not ever to, okay. Well, that's not the behavior. So even now, at an older age, where there's the possibility of saying to myself, all right, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, I'm still going to tell people to fuck off. If there's any inclination at all that this is just some shallow shit, they're going to get 86th. And that's all there is to it. Just some thoughts. Just some thoughts about trust and abandonment. And, that's something that's also there too. Is the lack of, and the thought of, not so much the fear of, just the thought of abandonment. And understanding that if it is a shallow situation, then there's going to be abandonment. I mean, the percentage is really high up. So how am I going to know if someone's going to stick around and there's a loving relationship? Honesty. So I'd say that right there, that point right there, is probably the best thing I've said this whole video. So I'm glad if there's something that you can take from this. Happy as can be. Because we're all one in one way or another. We're all brothers and sisters. Some people being more of a piece of shit and can die. And some people being absolutely a wonderful heart that I want to provide to, that I want to protect, and that I want to care for. So there is an absolute difference in how I feel about one person to the other. And a female can definitely take that and understand that the alphas are going to abandon you, and they're not going to stay with you. They're going to fuck you. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to fuck you, and then they're going to chuck you because they've got 20 other females sending them messages because they think that they're the one. Same as the dipshit guy who thinks that he's the one because he has this, because he has that, because he has a car, because he has, I'm hot shit. No, you're not. And she's gonna abandon you, and he's gonna abandon you. So if there's man versus female, whatever, male versus female, female versus male, I'd say that's where there's the contention. That's where there's the issue. That's the main thing that gets in the fucking goddamn way every time. That's the thing that gets in the way. So best to you all. Best to your love endeavors. And keep in mind that if you were born a liar, you're probably going to be a liar for the rest of your life. Best to you liars. And if you are half and half, or if you truly seek love and a heart, and forever love until you're dead, or you die without, then there's only one way to do it, and that's to be straight up. You can take the word honest out of the equation, and that's just to be straight up, with the kindness about doing it, being kind about being straight up, and selective as well, and get there. Yeah. So the first time you're talking to a guy, tell me about yourself. Oh, well, I'm not going to tell him that I have 3 kids, because he's just not going to have anything to do with me. Huh? That's not being straight up. Third date, you tell him that you have 3 kids. That's not being straight up. And then he doesn't call you back the next time. And then you say, oh, it's because he's a piece of shit, he's an asshole. No, it's because you weren't straight up. And you were pretentious. So the same as the guy who's married, who tells the alpha who's married, because he found himself a little cookie, he thought, who sucks. He's going to go out and get all he can, because he has that temptation. Yeah. So he's going to lie as well. You get a little idea of how the lying And the trust factor gets in the fucking way. And why guys are the reason that guys want the trust situation so fast and so far ahead. They don't want to be a little bitch at all. So I'll possibly, if I remember, I'll come back and I'll let you know whether or not this person came around again. If they give a shit about me. Probably not. That's the story of my life. Because I'm not a flashy person or anything, so you love me for me, my personality, whatever. You love that. And if you was loving me for what I'll provide or whatever, that kind of stuff, I don't want that kind of person. So I may be alone for the rest of my life, just based on that I don't want to be used for any of that kind of shit. Uh-oh. Well, you're out of here, bud. Because that's a big thing that females need. They need a provider. And they need it fast. So best to use, if you want to talk about this down below in the comments, that's cool. If you just want to talk to me about some stuff, that's cool. I'll talk to you later, friends. Goodbye.